Hello.
Hello, how are you going?
Good. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
I'm frightened to ask you because you're in Broome at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah.
What's the temperature? I'm in Tassie. What's the temperature? How jealous am I going to be?
No sleeves. It's been a t-shirt and shorts kind of day all day. We've had a bit of cloud cover, which is different for this time of year. So it's almost wintry, but it's definitely up to near the 30s.
Does the cloud cover help a bit? Like, is it really harsh sun or is it sort of more like a humid?
I find it is pretty glary. Like it's such clear blue skies that it's not humid this time of year. It's really dry. But when the cloud cover comes over, I feel it kind of lightens the glare a bit. And I really like that, I don't know, cloud ceiling, I suppose.
Oh, I want to come. I've never been to Broome. That's on my bucket list for sure. So it's good to see you all the way over. What time is it there? You're 2 hours behind us. Is that right?
5 o'clock. Yeah, 2 hours.
Yeah, there you go, 2 hours. Well, thank you for trusting us. And I'm in a hoodie because it is cold today. And I was at work today doing role play. So part of my outfit was a big hoodie that was as big as a dress, and I got to wear tights to work, so that was quite good. But it is cold. We had -3 this morning here.
Oh my goodness, I actually couldn't imagine that. I don't think we ever get below the zeros up here.
Wow.
Maybe like 5 degrees is our coldest.
Oh wow, that's good. We don't get lots of the minuses. Like we have a week or two in winter that it might get that low, and then it sort of isn't too bad. But a couple of weeks ago, we had a week of it was really unheard of temperatures. In fact, I think we got the record temperature, like the record low for the state. And that, I think the record low was -14 or something, which I've never, ever lived through. So
that feels like you should be sort of in the snow overseas or something at that.
That was the moment where I was like, why am I living here? What am I doing? Yes. But thank you for trusting us and coming on the show. We've got a lot of people that have already popped in to say hello. Kaz, whereabouts are you tonight, Kaz? I know you were traveling and you went to Tamworth for the Hats Off. Whereabouts are you? Kaz is amazing. She does a lot of, she has written there. She said she's back in work after Tamworth. I'm doing a lot better, Kaz. I'm getting there very slowly, but thank you.
How you going, Kaz? Thanks for joining us.
Kaz is amazing. If you ever get a chance to read, she does amazing reviews on albums, and she's just so good. Jonathan has popped in from the UK. He said it's hot over there.
Oh,
you're lucky.
The UK. Oh, it is summer. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It would be right in the thick of summer too now, wouldn't it? Be right in the middle. Have you ever been to the UK?
I have been. It was probably about 10 years or so ago, and we went at Christmas time here, so that would be winter there. Yeah, and it was pretty cool.
Was it? Yeah.
We spent Christmas in the Lakes District of is that the top of England? Anyway, it was like that beautiful area with all the castles and the hills, and yeah, it was stunning.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I think it would be amazing, and I love old buildings, and I love sitting there thinking, if the walls could talk, what has it seen? Like all these different generation changes, and
buildings that are like hundreds of years old, and I'm like, we're thinking about buildings in Australia that are maybe like 50 years old and they're heritage listed.
Exactly. And Kaz said that she's going to check out your music.
Oh, okay.
What you think in the comments later, Kaz? It'd be really interesting to hear your thoughts. So because I haven't had you do a show before, would we be able to go through? I'm sorry, that is my lights flickering. It was not doing that until we went live. Tell us a little bit about why you got into music and why this style of music. How you began.
I think for me, music became a way of sort of self-expression initially. I always loved singing, and it was something I did from young. But when it came time to start writing songs, I think it was I realised that there was a way of sort of making sense of the world and sharing my perspective. And I really did use songwriting initially to try and sort of make sense of a lot of things. And then I think the sound, I never set out necessarily to be a certain genre. I just wrote the songs that felt most natural to me. And when I went into the studio the first time for my debut EP, we were looking at the songs and thinking, you know, what instruments to add to the songs. And the sound engineer at the time, Pete Granderson, he was like, this is a pretty well alt country, straight country songs you've written here. So like, let's go with that. And it felt natural. It was just the natural sort of way. I was living in Fitzroy Crossing at the time, which is a regional remote area of the Kimberley. And I just think country music lends to the landscapes of where I call home. So it definitely makes sense.
I love that though. Like, I like that you didn't have a genre in mind and you just wrote for what you felt. And I think that's how we now listen to music. I think we used to be very genre based. You liked country, you like it was very stay in your own lane. And now I hear songs on the radio that would never have been played on there years ago. And I think it's because we listen to a song and we like it. We don't actually go, that fits in this category much.
Take each song as they come. And I listen to a really broad spectrum of genres, but the instruments that always seem to speak loudest to me are the folk country instruments, like the fiddle, mandolin. I've always been drawn to those instruments. And then for some reason, country songs tend to have the most emotive effect on me as well. But yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying in that we tend to measure each song as they come these days more so than going into
it's lovely. It's a really good feeling moving forward, actually, that people are doing that. And Kaz said that Lakes District is beautiful in the UK.
Yeah, it's stunning. Hey,
Jonathan, she has. And Jonathan said he's thinking of coming to Australia next year in September, October. Jonathan, you will love it. It is. We're biased. It's the best country, but you know.
September, October too, beautiful time. Over East, it's getting in towards summer. Yeah, it's probably a good time all around.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anywhere you go in that time, you'll be happy because it won't be too hot, won't be too cold. And Kaz said, she said there are 94 types of country music. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
There's an endless amount.
And Ronnie said, hi, Danni, it's been some time, and say hi to everybody. Hi, Ronnie. Thank you for coming on and joining us. As I sort of said to you before, Adele, we go live to so many different places and people can make comments, doesn't matter what platform they listen on. So it's really a good way for people to interact and enjoy getting to know artists as well.
Yeah, it's great. I've not had this experience of the interactive kind of interview before, so it's definitely really fun. We're biased, but it is a good fun night. Now, I know that you were saying, you know, that's how you got into music and you used writing as, I guess, like a therapy, getting your words out and helping you. Is that something that you struggled with and how to get them out at the beginning? Did it just sort of flow once you got? I look back on earlier songs and I think, how did I think that was ever going to be something good? But I also really do feel that that's the process of it. And I'm sure I'll probably look back at these songs I'm releasing now in 10 years' time and go, you know, I've moved and grown again as an artist. But initially I didn't used to put too much thought into the song. I would just let it come out in the form that it wanted to. And I sort of do the same now. I try not to overthink it too much, but I also never see a song as entirely finished until it's in the studio. So I'm often, I'm doing a song, I might play it live for a couple years or so, but it'll change and it'll kind of always be being edited.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Love
and then I find too, you get to work with or you might jam with people, or when you go into the studio you would then start to even change the songs again for that studio version. So yeah, I think that it's always a work in progress.
Perfect. I love that idea of a song, and I love seeing a song from the idea to being written, and then you know looking at it again and go, oh, that doesn't work, and changing it, and then playing it live and go, oh no, I need to change it here. I actually really enjoy that journey from the very beginning right through to what you have recorded on.
And how it's changed. Yeah, I try and keep track of them too, and to try and make sure I keep the older versions of songs, because that can also get lost in the ether as you sort of move through them. But I also used to love that, I think it was Jeff Buckley's Hallelujah had like all these extra verses that didn't make the final recorded version, and he would play these different versions of them live, and I always really loved the idea that this song kind of changes and grows over time, and it's never a fixed thing.
I love that. And the thing too, sometimes like you might do a show with a full band and have that huge sound behind it and do it, but then you might play it acoustically and completely different in itself as well, even post-recording. Yeah. Now, what is your process? Do you enjoy getting into the studio, or do you obviously go in, and you originally with your first EP you were saying it's got a country sound, let's add these instruments. Do you go in there and just let go of that creative side and let them do it, or do you sort of go in there taking?
I definitely go in there with ideas, but I also keep an open mind. It's been similar with both experiences in the studio of having a rough idea of what maybe some of the songs that might have been a bit stronger for, like say Wiley Blue, I always knew it had fiddle on it, even though I didn't have a fiddle player in Broome. I hadn't ever had fiddle on the track live, but in my head that was really sure. But for the rest of them, I tend to go in there and sit down with the sound engineer or the producer or the other people in the studio with me and look at what each individual song needs to get it to where it goes. And I'm always quite open-minded in that process, because I think for me it works best to just let the songs tell their story, I guess, in a way, and to look at how to get that emotion across as well, and which instruments are going to do that.
Yes, and they do. They change the emotion completely, don't they? Different instruments.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that too is like, oh, well, this song meant this, but now it kind of has a different meaning as well. Have you had a lot of feedback since releasing Wiley Blue?
I have. I've done a fair few radio interviews so far, and that's been really cool to even just to get to see where it's gotten to compared to the other releases I've done. And it feels really cool to get to talk to people from all different areas of the country so far. And I think the feedback for me is in the form of where it's been getting added to rotation. So ABC Country adding it to rotation was a really good, obviously it's not direct feedback, but it shows for me that the song's being received and that it's kind of, it's seemed to be fitting into that space, and that makes me really happy.
I love those sorts of things. Now, what we mentioned before, your previous EP, can people still order that from you? Is that still available? I know we've got them
still on my website. Should have a link to. Oh yeah, there it is. On my website, there's a link to a Bandcamp, and you can get it digitally from there, or you can, if you're still a person that has CDs, I've got a bunch of those as well. But it's also on Spotify and iTunes and all of that. So yeah, I take that CD around with me when I play, and have definitely sold a couple CDs over the time.
I love when you go to a show and you can buy the album hard copy from the artist. There's nothing better, is there? That feeling.
You just have it, and I just like having them there as well, because it's that nice way of showing your name and who you are and where to find your music, even if they don't buy the album. But yeah, it's still worth it. Absolutely.
And Jules has just popped in to say hello as well. Hi, Jules.
Hi, Jules.
Today. And we love Jules. It's always such a pleasure to have her artists on the show as well. But yeah, so we were saying, how you were saying about what we were just touching on with the albums and having that hard copy, and they can order it or get it at your show. Yep. Is that what you're working to with this new single? Are you looking towards another album or an EP as you go?
Yeah, I think with this, so this is the first single that will be off my next EP that I'll release either towards the end of the year or early next year. So we're going to do a single at a time, and really have a chance to give each of the singles the time and the energy that they need. And then I'm hoping to do a pressing to vinyl towards next year when it's released. Yeah, so I think that would be just something different, another sort of way for people to access the songs. And I love that vinyl sound as well. I know that we're moving away from CDs and vinyls, but I think vinyls tend to be having that resurgence as well. So
they are, and there is no sound quite like it, is there? That little crackle. But I have noticed people are starting to say, "Oh, they're recording tapes, as in like cassette tapes." I was really excited to hear that. How many hours have I spent in my life winding it with a pencil to try and save the tape because it's come unwound?
I'd have to get a tape player again. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be lots of fun though, I agree.
I'll do a run on tape as well.
That would be amazing. Cass said ABC Country is a good platform and we take pride in that. Absolutely, for getting onto those lists in Country Victoria. It's a huge thing to get on lists. Jules said I've got two. And I've got a Discman. I don't know if it works, but I've got a Discman.
I need to borrow your Walkman.
I remember the year I got it too. It was the best Christmas present of my home.
I also got a Discman for Christmas one year. That was a highlight of my childhood, I think.
It never goes away, does it, those
months? Maybe I should sell the Discmans and the CDs in a combo.
That would be amazing. I love that. And Jules said, Kaz said that, she's into the CD cover and the CDs and the hard hold on to copy. Yeah. I'm a bit of a read it from the start to the finish. I read all the thank yous, yes. Yeah,
reading the lyrics too as you listen to a song, there's something really special about that, getting to sort of delve right into it. And even just reading who all of the artists are on the track is another really cool thing that you kind of don't get to do when you're listening on Spotify and iTunes to see, because often in Australian music we're kind of utilising similar session players and you start to see who are the that's something that I like.
Love that too. Yeah, that's one of my favourites as well. And you're right. I mean, I know now Spotify, they'll have a photo or a picture, sort of like it might be like a 30-second reel playing around, but it's just not the same as getting to know the artist and the band and the ins and outs. It's the special things that I think true music lovers really enjoy, that hands-on. Definitely. Now, you were saying, you were raised in the Kimberley. Have you got to do much travelling outside of WA?
Not yet. I'm hoping to branch out a little bit more after these releases and into the next sort of singles. I'm working on a tour from Broome down to the sort of Wheat Belt and Southwest early next year. Wow. But yeah, I think I'll be working towards getting over east at some point soon, because it'd be really good. I actually don't think I have played out of WA.
Oh, yet. Wow.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
I kept it really local, kept it small, but I'm at the point now that I'm ready to sort of branch out. So keep an eye out.
How wonderful. Well, you'll have to come to Tamworth in January so we can all see you there and get your first one out and about. But it's interesting because you hear different stories in different states and how music is received around the country. So it'll be really interesting to talk to you when you've done a couple of different states to see if you find big differences between.
And I think for me, maybe part of not branching out too far was I hadn't really ever sent my music further than doing local sort of gigs and releases. So I think with this one, even just being able to connect with radio stations that are in all these different areas of Australia is like, oh, actually maybe there is an audience for me out there, and perhaps there are people that connect with the music. So I think it's been a nice way of doing it to sort of test the waters in a way.
Absolutely. Yeah, a very good way of doing it. And I think you're right. I think your music does have a really big place because it's a sound that you don't hear much at the moment. And that's the thing, you've got to grab onto that thing that works for you to get out to people, and it does make you stand out, and people go, oh wow, that's something, a version of things that we haven't heard for a long time. So it's really good to see. We're very excited. Now, what is the best place to keep an eye on you social wise or website wise to keep up to date if you are traveling? What's the best platform?
I probably keep Instagram, Facebook most updated. I tend to keep this website as updated as possible as well. I generally throw gigs up there, but I might not have the most recent ones. But yeah, I would say between Instagram, Facebook, and then every now and then flicking over to website for any other gigs would be the best way.
Wonderful. Now, if you guys want to, at the end, I'll pop that up again. It's got the QR code, so you can scan that and then go to whichever platform you would like. Is this a single at the moment? Are you thinking film clip for this single? What's this? Is it? It's just because you're
think this one. Yeah, I was really trying to work out which of the songs in this next in the EP that I did want to do a film clip for, and there's another one that stands out a little more for me for a film clip. So there will be one coming, so watch this space. But yeah, I think for this one, there would be such an easy film clip to get, but I almost want to kind of keep it, sort of in the imagination level, and then save a film clip for a different one. Yeah.
That's very exciting. And as you said, you've got music coming for the rest of the year, and hopefully sort of next year into New Year, getting out a little bit more. Just a sec, Kaz has just put a question through, but didn't come quite up. When we're talking about CDs and hard copies, it's because Kaz does the reviews. She finds it easier to do the review with a hard copy. And I can understand that too, because it'd be the same reason you'd be wanting to look at who's been on the album, and that's part of the whole review process, isn't it?
Yeah, I can totally see that. Yeah, getting to delve into everyone involved.
And as we're saying, Kaz said she does lots of reviews, and her blog, the single life and album EP reviews. So if you get a chance, anybody jump on. They're really good. They're really interesting reads, and
I'll definitely check them out.
Yeah, and Ronnie, he loves to hear when entertainers get the inspiration behind the song. That is the beautiful style, isn't it?
I think. Did we delve into the story yet?
A little bit, but not completely. No. So that was my question, because I know that you wrote the song, and having read the press release, tell us about it, because it's really interesting.
Yeah, the song. So the name Wiley Blue. I've had a few people ask me if it was about a blue heeler, but it's actually about a bull that was grey in colour, but Wiley Blue was his name. And at the time, I was in love with a bull rider that had drawn this bull for his ride in the rodeo. And the year before, the bull was the bucking bull of the year. So it had this, I guess there was a sense that we're looking at the draw the night before and thinking this is going to be a pretty good ride. So we went to the rodeo the next day, and I'm standing at the rail as he is behind the chutes, and I'm trying to look at which chute he's going to come out of, and it was just completely heart-stopping times that are just stretching out. And that's where the song came from, I suppose, was wanting to capture that moment and that experience for me, watching someone I cared so deeply about in this absolute wild ride. And then I wanted to capture that life and what it meant for him, which is, the rodeo for him was more than just a sport, and it was a lifestyle. It was in his blood, and that was a big part of where the song came from.
I love hearing that, because you do often hear the song from the rider's point of view, and you hear that it's in their blood, as you said, and it's part of them. But I have covered so many rodeos in the ambulance and seen some huge accidents, but it's a bit like us in music. You couldn't stop even if you wanted to. It's part of who you are. But from that family and the loved one's point of view, that 8 seconds feels like forever.
Yeah, and I think for the person on the bull or the horse, whatever sort of sport, whichever one they're doing, time definitely changes. I was talking with someone else about this today, that concept of time sort of shifts, I suppose, for that 8 seconds for them and for the people watching. And I was standing there wondering, like, would this ever get easier? Would it wear off? And I don't know, I never got to find that out.
That's a really interesting question, actually. And that probably comes down to yourself, like each individual, to handle that in different ways. Maybe it doesn't get easier, but maybe you find ways to sort of differently as you do it more and more. I don't know.
Yeah. And perhaps I suppose too, having not seen him ride, I was probably not sure of how he would handle it, and his sort of, I guess, his skill and all of that. So I think maybe once you start to understand how sort of confident that person is in it, maybe it is a bit less scary.
Yeah. It'd be interesting if any of you have loved ones films. Let's know how you go with it. Be very interesting.
Had a relationship last a little longer than mine and can tell us.
Sounds like you were very in love though, and it's isn't it? And they don't always do well.
No, and I'm kind of glad for the song now in that it sort of changes its meaning as time goes on, and now the song holds a little bit of a different meaning for me, and rodeo as a sport is something that I absolutely love to watch, and so it kind of leans more towards that life and that sport of rodeo now.
Yes, yeah. Actually, it's interesting you're saying that the songs do change for you as the writer, because and as I said before, when you let a song out in the world, people take it so differently. Each of us will take a different thing from it or put a different memory to it, or and even for you as the writer, having a different point of view when you wrote it to now, it's changed for you. So it's interesting to hear that.
Well, they say too, like once you do put a song out to the world, you then you kind of lose control of how that song's going to be interpreted, and it does take on its own meaning, and people will assign their own meanings to it. And I think it's interesting, and I actually would love to hear what other meanings people assign to the song. So that would be an interesting one as well.
That would be really interesting. If you guys haven't already heard it, have a listen after tonight's show and put it in the comments what you think and what it makes you think of, because we can still see the comments. They still will continue to come through. So it'd be lovely to hear what you take on the song, especially now having heard a bit of the background of it. It'll be really, really fun. Absolutely exciting, because I love this song. So I'm really excited that you've got more coming, and one that you think has that more pull for the film clip. So it's such an exciting year.
I'll share that with you when that one comes out, for sure.
Absolutely. How do you go with film clips? Do you have the storyboard and everything prepped, or is that
this one? I had planned out this film clip because I wasn't sure which song I would put out first. So I sat down with a friend who's a filmmaker, and I'm sort of loosely will have an idea in my head, but she was like really quite clear in the storyboard and was like mapping it out really well. So I think that's a good thing, because it means that when we go to filming it, it will be a lot more efficient. So I'm a little bit more like, oh, we'll just wing it and see what happens. But I think it's better to have the storyboard a bit more.
So you know.
But I think it'll be a fun one to make as well. So can't wait for that to start happening.
Me either, and I can't wait to see how you grow over the next 12 months with what you've got coming, and your music diary as it unfolds as well. But I can't believe we've been talking for half an hour already. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
That went really quick. I was not doing a good job timekeeping. Thank you, because I love hearing how you've come into music. I love hearing the stories behind what you've written, and it's so good to see this song out to radio and doing well. It's a great song.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on, and thank you to everyone that's tuned in and have really participated as well. It's been really fun.
And before we go, everybody, I will just pop up here. Get your phones ready, because you can scan the QR code and that will take you to the link tree, and you can follow from all of those platforms while you're there, and then have a listen to the single and let us know in the comments for this feed. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys put down. But yes, thank you again, Adele. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks,
and I will hopefully see you for the next release.
Absolutely. I'll be on, be back on hopefully by then, and we can chat some more.
Be wonderful. Well, thank you, everybody. We will see you next week. Keep watching, keep singing, and keep the messages coming. I love hearing who you're all listening to each day. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Bye.